Mills basically owns everything you eat. That's a sin, and we'll get to that a bit later, but just to show you, here's a list of all the companies they own. General Mills has categorically used certain phrasing on its cereal boxes to make it sound healthier than it actually is by using phrases like gluten-free, all-natural, and a good source of plant vitamin. Speaking of gluten-free, General Mills has had to recall an estimated 1.8 million boxes of Cheerios because someone delivered wheat flour to their Lodi, California facility that was accidentally mixed with their gluten-free oat flour. That's dangerous. This was right after it was announced that Cheerios were going gluten-free. There have also been several reports of people finding maggots in boxes of Cheerios that were previously unopened. In General Mills' defense here, I'm sure those maggots were gluten-free. There are also several other potentially harmful ingredients that have snuck into General Mills cereals over the years. BHT is one you should look out for. BHT is commonly used to give foods a longer shelf life. It's also commonly used in cosmetics, jet fuel, and embalming liquid. And similarly to cosmetics, jet fuels, and embalming fluid, you probably don't want it entering your body. But unlike those things, it is approved by the FDA for human consumption. Even though General Mills has been recently leading a change to remove BHT from its products, scientists have conducted several studies that link BHT to cancer dating all the way back to 1995. Artificial coloring that is used in several General Mills cereals, including Fruity Cheerios, Frankenberry, and Lucky Charms, has been linked to allergens and hyperactivity in children. General Mills has also been exposed for aggressively marketing these sugary cereals to children. One study from Cornell University found that the characters on the children's cereal boxes are looking down. This study claims that Count Chocula is doing this because he is sitting higher on the shelf, and by looking down he can appeal to the children through eye contact. And of course, the obligatory GMOs. General Mills hasn't been any worse about GMOs than any other major cereal company, and actually made an effort to remove all GMOs from its products. But when the Eliminate All GMOs proposal was brought to a vote at their annual shareholders meeting in 2014, 97.8% of them rejected the proposal. The proposal was rejected mainly because after removing all GMOs from the Cheerios, General Mills didn't experience an increase in Cheerios sales. It has also been reported that General Mills is using Trisodium Phosphate, which is an additive and flavor enhancer that is used in kids' cereal that the EPA has declared unsafe for human exposure. But don't get too worked about that one because General Mills says that they use very small amounts. So they're still poisoning you, but just a little bit. General Mills is also responsible for Fruit by the Foot, or its more appropriate name, Sugar by the Yard, which sounds a bit like the name of a British porno. One thing you might notice about Fruit by the Foot and fruit roll-ups is they don't contain any actual fruit, but they do contain something called pears from concentrate, which qualifies this product as a made-from-real-fruit product by the FDA because this is technically a fruit byproduct, but because it is boiled down to a syrup, all the beneficial nutrients are destroyed and only the sugar remains. Even a representative from General Mills once said, "One thing for sure, it's not what I'd call real fruit." So what they should call this is fruit byproduct the foot. This process also removes any fruit flavor, so they have to re-add flavoring in order for it to taste like fruit. On top of all of this, one roll contains 2 teaspoons of sugar, which is over half of what the American Heart Association recommends children should have each day. In 2014, General Mills found itself in some legal trouble when they posted a controversial policy saying that if its customers downloaded coupons, joined the company's Facebook page, or entered a company-sponsored sweepstakes, they waived the right to sue the company for any reason. What? They began to take it even further by suggesting that even purchasing General Mills products would bind consumers to these terms. After the New York Times released a story about this, General Mills quickly recanted and basically apologized for getting caught. Which brings me to my final point. General Mills is one of several companies that is so freaking huge they think they can get away with stuff like this, and in some cases, they do. It can be attributed to growing trends of large companies buying other companies, ultimately creating a new kind of monopoly, a more nuanced monopoly that is much harder to regulate. Companies like General Mills are very cautious not to corner any one particular market, yogurt, noodles, canned goods, but they use the collective power of their many brands to force consumer hands. If a store wants Green Giant on the shelves, you can bet they'll have Yoplait, Annie's, etc. If they're losing a price war to a rival yogurt manufacturer, they can lower the price on their yogurt to take a loss while increasing the price on their Betty Crocker to make up for it. This kind of monopolistic power is very difficult for the government to pin down and address. It also makes this seem, well, ironic.